Welcome. And my name is Sadhna Singh. If you don't know, I'm also volunteering as a committee chair for SBPA. So it is a great, I would say, honor to be a part of this organization and continue to support in this transition. A little bit about myself. I'm married with one daughter, which is equal to $10. She's graduating in May, so I'm super excited. I'm a Torrance resident. I've been in South Bay for many, many years. A little bit background on my professional. I have been in banking for last 20 plus years. As a foreign student, when I came here, I was doing my bachelor's in accounting and got a job in a bank, and I loved that part of the finance. So after graduating, I stayed with banking because I was already in the leadership position. And I would say being in banking was just very rewarding for me. It was such an important aspect of everybody's life, right? Without finances, nothing happens. And I thought, what a great way to make a big impact in people's lives. And so I stayed in banking. What do I do best? In my last role, I was a district manager for a bank. First Citizen Bank was merged with One West Bank. I was with the organization for 18 plus years. My last role, I was a district manager for Los Angeles, Orange County, and San Diego. So overall, 23 branches. I oversaw the entire performance of the branches, and I would say I take pride in driving business and making sure the business is profitable, ensuring my team is empowered and educated so they are growing in their careers. And the third thing, I made sure that my stakeholder, which is the organization, we are adding value, and I was bringing value to the organization. And one thing that my core value is that I want to be utmost integrity. For me, honesty, integrity is what I live by, and also making sure the people around me, I add value, and self-accountability. For me, accountability is a big piece of my life. That's how I am. So I'm looking for an opportunity in maybe regional manager for a bank, but during this transition, I got laid off in 2022, but I didn't skip a beat. I wanted to educate myself. I went and did a HR management course, and I got certified. I got certified as a SHRM certified professional, and I am very flexible in moving into HR space if I get the right opportunity. So currently I'm looking for either a human resource business partner or sales and strategy leadership position in a bank. So that's where I am. And today's workshop, I thought it would be a great topic for us to talk about, because sometimes people think career development is only for people who are going into a career when you are starting your job, the first job. But I think career development happens throughout our lives, because now the market is changing. We have to be agile. We have to be open to adapt to new such as technology, now AI is coming in. So I thought it would be a great idea for us to take a moment and reflect. Where are we? What do we need to do in order to move into a career path where it's going to be rewarding for you? And also, we have to make money, right? So it has to be realistic. It has to be something that you think that you are really good at. So we're gonna explore that. So today my first piece of this workshop will be taking a small quiz about yourself. I'm not gonna stand here and tell you that I'm the expert on career development, but I have developed many careers during my last 20 years in leadership position. I had promoted 35 people to management role, and that happens when we really look at who we are, what we enjoy, and where we want to go. So with that, I would ask you to look at this sheet which is in front of you right here on this screen, and it talks really about you. So I wanted to give you a little bit of directions before you take. I'm going to give you 10 minutes to kind of jot something down, and we can draw some of the learning from here and pull it through our presentation. So what are you good at? Does anybody know, just raise a hand, does anybody know what are you good at? Anybody? And don't be shy. We need to boast about ourselves. We know ourselves. Naira. You're very good at organizing, right? So, organizational skill, right? Is that what you're saying? So I want you to really think about good at. So let me ask you a question. When you say I'm really good at, if you ask Baskin, did I say it right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Baskin, what do you think Naira is good at? Not what you tell other things, but regarding.
Don't look at her. Don't look at her.
Yeah.
And she's not your wife.
Yes.
Well, that's the difficult part. No, she's very capable in getting things done.
So
Beyond comprehension.
So you are saying something different what she said, right? You said she
sounds like that to us, right?
So you said she gets things done. She is in charge. She knows. She meets the deadline. She has steps, and she is gonna hit all those milestones. That is something that she needs to put it on her resume, or know that this is what I do really, really well. And here's what happens. Later in the workshop, you'll find out we think we are good at something, but others see it differently. Do you realize that? Perception. And also, others see things that we don't see about ourselves. So that's what I mean by what you're good at. So when you ask your mom, what is she gonna say? If you ask your friend, what are they gonna say? If you ask your husband, what are they gonna say? And everybody's input is important because they see your strengths in a very different way. So that's first one. The second one is, what do you enjoy doing? When we were very in our early years, we had these aspirations. We were just so not corrupted. We were so fresh, and we thought about so many dreams and aspirations or what really excited us. I think we just need to go into that space if we can. Not always, the passion is not always going to lead you to a job or give you the most of the money. If you're, if you want to be a comedian and you're not a good comedian, you're never going to make money. But I think that is the spark you need to look for. What are some of your passions? And align it with some reality, like how can I translate this into reality where I can find the right, job or skill set that will help me enjoy what I do. How do you work best with other people? And I'll give you quick examples. So when you're going through your completing this questionnaire, you will have an idea. So when I say, how do you work best with other people? How many people here love to work independently? Almost all of you. I love to work with people. I thrive more when I have people that I can impact, influence, guide. That's where I get more out of my role. So I would like to always lead a team. I don't like to work in a cubicle only for myself. I want to work in teams. I want to be in leadership position. So that's what you have to decide. Then the other one, number 4, it talks about, yes.
I think sometimes, I don't know if I'm just answering for myself, but I think I can work well independently and also in teams. It
Oh, yeah.
depends on the situation, right?
Of course. I mean, it can be both, right? And every job needs both, but is it where you flourish? Some people don't want to deal with anybody else. Like, give me my project, I'm going to work it, I'm going to deliver it. And don't bother me. And give me the deadline. I'll be right there, right? Tamiko? So I think that's what I meant. Then going to number 4, do you perform well in presence of ambiguity? And here's what's important. Right now it's an ambiguous time, right? AI is coming. We were talking about ATS. Oh my God, what do? Do we shut down? Or we continue to move forward and say, it's okay. There will be times in organization when they're going through a merger, nobody knows what's happening. You ask anybody, what about this situation? They say, oh, we don't know. This organization does it this way, the other organization does it differently. So in order for you to continue to move forward, can you work in this environment? Because this is becoming more and more. The clear directions are not there, but how do you continue to be productive? Can you work on those environments? Because if you're a very structured person and you just don't know, somebody told you this or other person gave you this guidance and you say, I don't know who to follow, and you're confused, maybe that's not the environment you want to work. You're very structured. You want the environment to be structured. What are some of your values? For me,
Tap it, the screen's not turned on.
Oh, okay. For me, what is important values? What is important to you? If you go to work for an organization where there's, I don't say unethical, but people say, oh yeah, you can do that, or cut corners, or sales, you gotta drive sales, and I don't care how you're gonna get your 5 accounts, just go get it. For me, it's not gonna work for me. I have to have integrity and honesty, and so you have to really see what you can compromise, what are your values that align with the organizational values. Where do you belong and what should you contribute? Again, is very similar. What kind of organization, what kind of people you want to surround yourself, what industry, where is your strength lies, and what should you contribute is your strength, is your how do you perform, and a unique contribution you bring to the team. So these are the factors. It's a very deep understanding of yourself, and maybe it takes you answer 4 questions, which will give you an idea what kind of company I should be looking for to work, what kind of position, what my values are, and am I going to be able to do this role or not. So I would want to give you just 7 minutes starting now. Actually 8 minutes will come at 10:40. Just write down things, because when we go to the next segment, there are some key learning that you will learn about yourself can be used to go through the workshop. So let's take any questions before you start filling it out.
No questions.
No question. Okay, let's take 7 to complete that questionnaire.
Okay.
Okay, so it's 10:40. We're gonna come together. I just wanted to call on a couple of people. Michael, what do you think you're good at?
So at the
down. I'm good at learning the process and getting things done, following the timeline.
So you're always open to learning new things, right? So that keeps you very open-minded, right? Is that what everybody will say about you?
I mean, I think so.
What about your bosses? The last feedback you got from your boss, what was that you were good at?
Well, it was always just getting done.
They said you are the person who can get the job done.
I mean, just we were all kind of like the same,
Uh-huh.
the salespeople, but it was like just get it done, or where are we with X account, and how can I help? That's kind of like we were kind of like very individual that way.
Oh, okay. So that's great that but also like I mentioned that if you have your annual performance or your colleague or your boss, or they say, Heidi, you are so fantastic building long-term relationships. I have seen you in action. You connect with the employers, you ask good questions, you get to understand their need, and you build great relationship. Then I know it kind of, if I didn't think that was my strength, it kind of gives me a little bit more to say, oh yeah, somebody else saw that in me, and that could be my strength, right? So Heidi, what is yours?
So my strengths are, I'm what I'm great at. I'm good at connecting dots, managing people. I'm good at selling, relationship building, mentoring, and seeing a bigger picture. And I'm really good at it. The relationship building. I had people at Kelly that were saying, call the customer, and I'm like, no, well, you were doing it. They're like, no, Heidi, you don't understand. Every time the customers call us, they always ask you, and they want to know when you're coming back. They don't want to talk to us. I was trying to keep pushing them to make them learn, and I'm like, I'll call them. A couple of them went to my wedding, in the end, because I built such great relationships.
Yeah. So for you, Heidi, is so critical because you're in staffing agency, right? You build a relationship with your customers, and that is your biggest strength. And others have confirmed that, right? Others have validated it. Hey, they're only looking for you. That means what you think and what others see is almost the same. So very important to know that. I'm going to go to David. David, what values you have that you think that, I have to have that in any place I work?
Yeah, for values, it is honesty and integrity. I want to go where people are honest up front.
Mm-hmm.
They care about their employees. Don't want to be asked to cheat or do anything wrong, so that bothers me. So yeah, honesty and integrity are right up there.
Awesome, great. So you will always make sure that your principles align with the organization you're going to work for.
Yeah.
So I hope that this gives you a little bit of an insight about yourself, who you are, what do you like, and where can you go in your next role or career path. So when you look at the presentation in front of you, it's called Self-Career Development, and the reason it is self, because knowing yourself is the most important thing. So when you look at the first one, I want you to write down this website. Is called, and if it is not in your deck, it should be the second page. It says strengthsprofile.com. Do you have that?
Yeah.
So this is a free site. I want you to go there and do a free assessment on yourself, and it will give you your strengths, your opportunities, weaknesses, and it will just give you a really good kind of synopsis of what are your strengths. And then you can kind of cross-reference and say, because the way they ask questions, it is very different to find out what you're good at. So I would encourage you to go do that, and it's a free test. You don't have to pay anything, so you know that. So when you go to the third page, it says know yourself, values, interests, strengths, and areas of opportunities. Here's what I wanted to talk about. It's called acronym is VISA. So it's like values, interests, strengths, and opportunities. Here's why it is important. You're gonna share this in your interviews, right? So first and foremost, when you go to apply for a role, you do research about the company values. They have core values. What are their core values? What do they want people to embody if they work there? And you say, hey, by the way, Baskin, I was on your company website and I learned that you are really, your organization is, value is community involvement. And I see that's one thing that I have done so much work and I'm so passionate about. That is one of my core values. You see what? That's a connection. That's saying this is who I am and this is what you value. We have a good connection here. And so you can use the values, your values to the company values and connect them and share that in the interview, because then you're gonna separate yourself from others. So you know the company values, go and research it. What are their, sometimes they talk about their culture, they talk about their, values, so make sure that you research that. The second thing, it talks about your interests, right? So here, when you think about your interests, what are some of your interests that you have that aligns with the company's interests, right? Company is looking for somebody who can come and provide some structure and organization. And Naira is fantastic. And you say, this is what is my passion. And last role, this is what one of the projects, let me talk about the project that I led, and here's what happened, here's the vision, here's what I started with, and here's a couple of steps I took to implement it, and I met every milestone, and here what was the outcome, which was very, very important to the company, meeting those deadlines, because we were going into a product launch or whatever it may be. And that's what you need to talk about, that in my last role, I was able to execute this. That's why I'm saying that I have this strength. You see what I'm saying? So if the company is looking for somebody who can come and provide that organization, then you are the person who can support them with that. So you can talk about your interests. And the last one I want to talk to you about is areas of opportunities, right? So the opportunity, when you look at the areas of opportunity, every interview I did, when I asked the candidate, what was your areas of opportunity or weakness, we don't call it weaknesses, and they will say, oh, I am a perfectionist, and that is the, one answer. You have seen it all the time, because people haven't spent the time to really know about their opportunities and how they took that opportunity and converted it into strength. That's what you need to share with them. So I want to share one for myself. So many years ago, in 2013, when I was promoted to district manager's role, I'm a very driven person. I have my goals, I have my deadlines, my own, and I drive. I don't need any motivation. I'm very driven, very self-motivated. And so when I got this position, I was gung-ho. It's like I was going to move the world. I was going to improve the performance of the district. And this district was not doing so well. And I was going to do it because I was able to do it in my branch. But they were two different roles. I was in the branch. I could see everybody. I could influence them. I could do a lot of things by my presence. And redirect and encourage and empower. I could do that, but I could not do that with remote management. And these were leaders. They had their own ideas. They were the best. They knew their business. And to go and tell them, oh, you change your ways, it wasn't going to work. So I go to my first visit in the branch, and my boss was with me, observing me. And I am very good at setting a goal and I can work on multiple projects all the time. but I just thrive on it. And so when I go into the visit, I'm asking these questions from the branch manager. They're sharing with me how things are going. There are some challenges. There are some, there are some good news, but there are challenges. And I'm listening, and then we go through the branch visit, and then I ask them, so why don't we come together and create a plan? What are some of the things that I can support, or what are the things that you think that you can do differently that will help this gap? So we come up with 5 things, and I'm super excited. It's like 5 things. So let's put that action plan together, and what do you want to achieve from this? And I did the plan, and my boss didn't say anything. He's taking notes, and he's kind of observing. And then the plan was, after I always did the branch visit, there was a debrief. So he would give me a feedback, Sadhna, this was your first branch visit. Let me ask you, what did you think you did really, really well? Where did you struggle? What are some of the things that you want to do differently? Of course, we went through, I'm such a critic. I was like, I could have done this, I could have done that. Okay, but let me provide couple of things, feedback to you. And he said, you know why you were promoted? And I said, yeah, because I'm very, I always take everything very seriously. I want to be the top leader. I want to be the best. I implement, whatever I commit to, I try to execute on it. And he said, yeah, that's why. You see all those things you just told me? That's why you separate yourself. But do you think everybody is like that? Do you think you can work on 5 things and other people can work on 5 things? You can. That was an aha moment for me. That's when I kind of just grew in my role in one feedback. And so I had to always go into branch and understand and say, they are not me. I need to work with them, and who they are, how they work, how they are successful. I need to key into that instead of, I am not even in the picture. I have to remove myself. It's not about me. It's about Heidi. It's about Naira. It's about Michael. They need to be successful. So then I was always working on myself. Okay, I'm going to do a lot more observation. I'm going to do a lot more questioning. I'm going to observe what else is going on that they haven't seen. So the moral of the story is, I came back and I said 2 things I have to do really, really well. I have to be patient. I have to be active listener. I have to understand, and I would ask them to only work on 2 things. Only 2 things. And let's celebrate the heck out of it. 2 things. Do it well. So that taught me it's not who I am, what I want to achieve. If I'm in a leadership position, I have to focus on the other person. So same way, you have to, and that's my area of opportunity, which I continue to work on today. Right? So it relates to my job. The person can understand, oh, okay, this was an opportunity, but I read a lot of books, I asked a lot of questions, I continue to do that. I want to make sure there's a 2-way conversation happening. Do you understand what I'm saying here? So please think about one thing about yourself that was an opportunity, but how did you take that opportunity and worked on it and refined it and progressed it to where you're making your strength? Am I making sense here? Yeah? We all need to do that, because that's the question always comes up. What is your area of opportunity? I was like, oh, let me tell you who I am and so that shows that this person learns about themselves. They're gonna take the feedback. They're gonna work on the feedback, and they are going to make sure that they have changed that opportunity into a strength. So that's where I want you to think about your area of opportunity. And this slide is really important for you to focus on and write things down when you're going into an interview.
Are we on the page where it says ask yourself and ask others?
So we are going to the next one. So as the third slide is ask yourself, ask others. So I would ask, if you are not working, you don't have a boss, you have your husband, they can tell you a lot about you, just like, so ask other people. So I always ask my friends, hey, what do you think I do well in our interaction? I ask my relatives, they have seen me, and I get so much feedback, because if you ask different people, you'll get different answers, and you start to add that in your strength, because how people see you. You're very, you are great in putting a party together. You are the one who's gonna send out all the emails, you're gonna follow up, you're gonna get all the potluck stuff. And so I had a manager who was brilliant at that. So whenever we did party, I just called her. I said, this is your strength, go do it. And she would just, and she was patient, she didn't get mad at people, she was, able to execute that. So please ask yourself and ask your others who are around you that can provide you the feedback. Yes?
So Heidi and I planned a debrief, and these questions are right on that line about her interview. Naya needs to have her resume reviewed, and these are the questions we can review on her resume to refine it further.
Yes.
And when we do the mock interviews, these are the questions we can do in the debrief.
Yes.
To see what she did well, what she did not well, what she can do to improve and even enhance her presentation in communication on a position.
And these
Practical
questions
focus.
are perfect when I did coaching, because that's your first step. What do you think you did well?
It's so interesting. I mean, here you are, you go to all these big managers, and you've got, your plan, you know what you're doing, and then your boss comes back to you and goes, do you want to know what, why you got promoted, and he kind of goes through things, and then it was like this aha moment you had, is that, oh yeah, I'm my own person, and not everyone can multitask like me and do the things I want, and you had to put yourself in their shoes and just do two things. I grew up with parents that always said, just take 2 bites if you don't like some, just 2 bites. When I moved to California from Michigan, I called and I wanted to come home. I just got in, and my parents said to me, just stay 2 weeks. If you don't like it in California after 2 weeks, you have the credit card, just call us and tell us when you're coming home. I've been here since 1984. My 2 weeks is overdue, I stayed, it expired.
Right.
And it was always just, so I remember that, just take 2 bites, just 2. And that's doable.
And the person who's saying, oh, it's 2 things only, I can do it.
Yeah.
And then I walked away and I said, I have to follow up on 2 things.
But I like that. That's
Right?
really cool.
And I called them in 24 hours, and the good ones, they were on it, and they say, oh yeah, I did that. They will just go on and on what they did, and they did more. But there were 2 who will say, oh, I'm so sorry, after you left, it got so busy. And then, it's like, oh my God, it's 3:00 today. I haven't really started. Can I start tomorrow? And I said, So tomorrow I'll call you in the evening, see how it went, right? The follow-up, the documentation and all that. So I think that this is, like you said, it's a practice skill and knowing who you are talking to, because these managers, they work hard. I have been in their shoes, right?
Sadhna, I was going to say too, looking for a job, sometimes it isolates you, it puts you like in a little silo. So I think this is great that your husband came to support you. I think that's phenomenal. I also teach, and I tell my students, talk to your family, ask them, what do they think about this assignment? Ask them, because that's including them, and then you're not so much in a silo, and then that makes them appreciate more that you're looking for a job or that you're doing your homework. They feel a part of it, right? You're not in a silo, because they're like, well, Mom, what do you have to do this week? Or Dad, what do you have to do? You want me to help you? I can proofread it. And they're good at proofreading it. They're good at proofreading your resume, and that makes them feel a part of it. Plus, it helps them to learn what's necessary to get a job. It's not so easy as you go to an interview and it happens. You talk to them about it, it makes them feel a part of it, and they don't feel like, oh, she's looking for a job again. I can't talk to her because she's looking for a job. And, it makes them feel a part of it. And that's so very important to engage them.
Yeah, really. And stay positive.
Yes.
Yeah.
That we get in our own head.
Mhm.
Me, myself, and I can be scary. Oh, this is my brother-in-law. So almost 20 years.
That's right. Your family got so phenomenal. I love it.
But it's I understand. So if you need to talk to anyone of us, you go for it. But it's like I brought the book The Secret out again because I had to change my mindset. I cried to my husband several times, and he's really good support. He's the youngest. He's the youngest of 7. My husband's the youngest of 7 kids. Dave's in the middle, and and it's like. And he just listened, and he just said, "I'm sorry, you've got this," and that was just it. So you've got that. I'm glad you're here, because the job boards, I'm at the point now with the job boards where when I get a rejection, I'm like, "Oh, right, Heidi, you made it through the applicant tracking system."
At least, right?
I know, and I did something right.
At least,
And I saw something on LinkedIn. I'm sorry to get
No. This is a great conversation because this is where we are support to each other, right?
So
Sharing those
There's
practices.
this one guy. I don't know what he does, but I was reading the feed, and the feed was, he said, I had a candidate he interviewed, right? And the candidate said to him, I got rejected from 3 jobs today. And he said, all I could say, and this guy's from England, and the candidate said to him, all I could say was, what? I'm not like, like Granny, I was her best boy. What, I'm not their best boy, like Granny thinks? It was like, in other words, our grandparents think we're the best things in sliced bread. What, these people don't think I'm the best thing? And it was like, and he said it was so funny, and I'm like, it totally changed things and made me think about when I used to watch the show Sex and the City in my single days. It's not on anymore. But there was the episode where it was called He's Just Not Into You. It was advice from Carrie's boyfriend at the time to Miranda, and it was like the best dating advice he could have given her, which was, he's just not into you. And now every time I get a rejection, I'm like, they're just not into me. It's not about me. It's just not I don't know if you remember dating. It's like, they're just not into you.
Yeah. So going into the last page, here's a couple of things. I want you to think about whatever your industry is. So, like Harold mentioned, that you do have to get out of your shell and connect with people. It depends what kind of industry, and every industry has their own very specific networking events. So you can look into it. You can also make sure that you reach out to your ex-colleagues via LinkedIn, your friends, colleagues. Always ask everybody, do you know someone in this area? Do you know somebody that you can refer me to? Do you know someone who is in recruiting? So whenever I meet somebody, I do ask them, and ensuring that my connections are growing. So you never know, somebody comes across an opportunity and say, oh my God, I know someone who I just recently met, and she was looking for a job in a bank as a lead, regional manager. I'm gonna call Sadhna and ask her to connect with this person. So I want you to think about a networking group. Of course, you can create your own, or look at in your area, like staffing, right? Heidi, I don't know if there is a networking group, which HR Pyra, we talked about Pyra.
Yeah.
So I joined Pyra because I did a HR management course, and I wanted to connect with a professional in HR space. So I joined Pyra, which is called Professional in Human Resources. So I started going to their meetings, and I did connect with a couple of people. But the problem, I ran into people say a lot of things in networking events, but there is very little follow through. There's, oh yeah, sure, call me, I'll do this, and then you call them, it's like, oh yeah, first they won't respond. So I would say don't give up. There are genuine people. There are people in the same place that you are. Maybe they have the empathy. So please continue to reach out to people. The other thing that I put it on there is last one, your personal development. So let's talk about the personal development. When you talked about, hey, what are I'm good at? Here's what I want you to think about. If you're good at something, go do something to certify that you're good at. So let me give you an example. If you are good at relationship building, if there is a certification where you have Salesforce, right? Salesforce is client management system. It's a great company. So it's all about client management, how to do client management. So you can look into it, and if they have some kind of certification, you can go do certification for. Yeah, so, and those are the things that you will see. There are some website where you can go and do self-learning and for free. So that's, I shared it last time, it's called Udemy, edux. There is another platform that you can go and learn few things. There are LinkedIn Learning. You have a lot of self-taught courses, and at your leisure you can do the courses, and once you complete it, it puts the certificate on your profile. So the person who's recruiter is looking for you and say, oh, this person is constantly upgrading their knowledge and they are very proactive in self-development. So you can do the professional development. Volunteering and freelancing. So this is the topic that really resonates with me. That's why I'm doing this today. I'm going to be honest. Currently, I'm not working. My daughter gives me 2 cents of her advice every day. You're volunteering too much. You need to be here for your family. And, you are always volunteering. And I said, yes, you have to give back all the time. You're my priority, but I also have my own priority. I have to give back to the community that I belong. So I'm a mentor on a graduate financial literacy. I'm a board member on an advisor for a financial literacy platform. I do this, and so, oh, again, you're going to do a workshop. So I'm saying this is the reason I'm doing this, because I don't have a gap. When I was in a leadership position, every month I was running 3 workshops. Managers meeting, we were talking about one skills that we were going to work on, we were going to get better at. Operations meeting, we were going to look at some operations process, why there were issues, what are some things that we didn't have a good oversight. So that skill set I don't want to lose because I'm sitting at home and not utilizing my skills. So I said, you know what, I continue to do coaching. I mentor a graduate. I continue to come and do workshops here. So if anybody asks me when was the last time you did anything, training and development, I can share. I was like, well, this was my last workshop I conducted, right? So that's where I would say. And I also read a book by Tim Ferriss. Do you know Tim Ferriss? You do? I like him. Tim Ferriss, he has a podcast, very inspiring guy, and he wrote a book, 4-Hour Workweek. And in that, he talked about that if you want to get your ideal job and you know a company that is out there, then you just go volunteer there. Once you go volunteer there, then they will see your skills and say, hey, why don't you come work with us? I've tried that, it hasn't worked yet.
Yeah, but you put it out there.
You're networking and you're growing.
I'm just being
Why would
honest.
they pay you when they can get you for free?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Just kidding.
I was all gung-ho and I said, oh my God, this is the first time I'm going to have all this time after so many years and I have no agenda and I'm going to go volunteer. So I became, one of my colleagues, he was a commissioner, a transport commissioner for Orange County, and he used to brag about it all the time. And I said, Jeff, how did you do that? And he said, oh, you have to go through the interview process, you have to do this, and and he was like so full of himself, always bragged about it. I said, oh my God, I'm going to be a commissioner. I am going to be a commissioner. And the country I come from, they're not volunteer commissioners. They're commissioner. When you become a commissioner, it's a job that you get paid, right? Maybe in your country too. But in India, commissioner is a big deal. So I said, I'm going to become a commissioner. I called the city and I said, how do I become a commissioner? So they gave me long, the things to do, training to do, and once I took the training right away, and 24 hours, I sent my certificate, and she said, Sadhna, it does not open until June. I said, I just want to make sure you have my training certificate, that I am interested. So she sends me, when the position opens up, she sends it to me, and now I have to go through the interview process, 7 interviews. I said, are you serious? 7 interviews to get a volunteer job as a commissioner? And that's when I ran into Tamiko. She was at the city hall coming out to doing some licensing, and she said, oh, Sadhna, what are you doing? I was like, well, I'm interviewing. And she thought that she already got a job, right? But sad to report, I did get a good part is I did become a commissioner, library commissioner, but 0 money, and it's all volunteer work. So
But you met people, right? You get a chance
I'm
to
meeting.
meet a lot of
Yes,
people.
I'm meeting.
Could lead to a job.
Yes, and that's the positive side. So what I'm saying, that don't limit yourselves. If you read something, I always test it, and then we'll see what the verdict is gonna be after 2 months if it's still not working. But I think unless you take action, you're never gonna know the outcome.
That's right.
That's true.
And on that note,
Right. So with that, I want to stop here and encourage each one of you to take this back and make it your own. This is a tool, this is a resource for you to really explore who you are, and please share your successes so I can say, oh, that workshop, here's the outcome. Thank you very much.